approved. And I'm joined now on the phone by Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Glad to be with you today.
In this one poll, the CBS poll, 66% of Democrats approve of the president's handling, but you have some questions of your own. You're not fully behind the action here. What is your issue with the way this was handled?
Of course, I'm concerned, first of all, that any military engagement in Libya or anywhere in the world should have been debated and voted on by Congress. We all know that there's a serious crisis in Libya, but United States military intervention could really exacerbate this humanitarian crisis. It could heighten instability in the region. I think whenever, and I think the public naturally is ambivalent about this because there's no way anyone wants to see innocent human beings being killed. The point is the public should have a right to voice an opinion through their members of Congress. The Constitution requires that. And so I am extremely concerned about the bombing of Libya, and I believe that the United States must immediately shift to end this bombing and really begin to allow the Arab League and the coalition partners to move forward with the type of logistical support and other humanitarian assistance that we should provide.
Let's talk more about the constitutional authority, because the Obama administration's team says that they're distinguishing between a full war and a limited military operation, which the president reiterated yesterday while in Chile.
Well, I have to respectfully disagree. And I think the public sees missiles being fired into Libya. I think we recognize there is a potential for a protracted civil war in Libya. And in fact, when we look around the world, there are very similar circumstances of unrest, such as in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, and Yemen, and elsewhere. And so we cannot really afford, I don't believe, to continue to rely upon the deployment of more guns, bombs, and possibly troops. I hope not. I believe the president when he says he does not want to send ground troops into Libya. But if this continues, we don't know where it's going. We don't know what the exit strategy is. I haven't seen one. We don't know what the time frame is. Of course, the administration says it's a matter of days. Well, I think we should begin to extricate ourselves.
But let me ask you, the White House Congresswoman says that the president met with a bipartisan group of lawmakers before taking any action in Libya, again, stressing the words of the president yesterday around this very time when he spoke at that news conference in Chile. It is a humanitarian effort. This will not, according to our military leaders, be an event of weeks. They hope it will, in fact, be days. But moving forward, Dennis Kucinich wants to put out a vote on defunding this effort. Would you support that?
Let me just say, first of all, there's a big difference between the president meeting with leadership in the House and in the Senate versus a full debate by members of Congress to make a decision whether or not to authorize the use of force, or, if you ask me, to declare a war. Because whenever we put forth our human resources and the taxpayer dollars into firing missiles and into military engagements, we have to talk about, is this a war or not? And so I believe that, the president was correct in talking to the leadership, but also I think that a big mistake was made by not coming to the Congress to have a full debate on this. And that is
But it's not unprecedented for a leader not to go to Congress. We've seen this time and time again.
No, Tamron, it's not unprecedented, but that does not mean that this is the correct way to proceed when you're going to commit guns and bombs and missiles and human lives into what could possibly turn into an all-out civil war. And I think it's very important that the public recognize that and insist on a debate. I mean, it's after the fact now, but I still think that we need to be called back into Congress, and we need to have a serious discussion and debate about this. And I'm very concerned about where this could lead. Again, we have no exit strategy. We don't know how many days, how many weeks. We don't know what this means in terms of dollars. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. And we don't know, again, if this will end up as the third war. We're in Iraq, we're in Afghanistan. We can't afford to be involved in another costly war with no exit strategy.
Congresswoman Barbara Lee, your questions are being echoed by so many others today as we are, as I mentioned, the third night of the bombings there. Congresswoman Barbara Lee, I so greatly appreciate you making time. Thank you.
Glad to be with you.
And joining me now, Time Magazine Deputy International